Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin around 9:10 a.m. on Wednesday, April 20th, 2016, on my way to work. And today I will talk about my favorite data visualization, stacked area line charts. Now you see these not too frequently, but when you do see them, it's showing you what is equivalent of the one line giving you total amounts. At the top, it's the total height. But the components of it are subdivided into little veins of color that are stacked on top of each other. So, for example, in YouTube, if you go into YouTube Analytics, choose the line chart, switch it to stacked area, and then switch it again to show all data sources, it'll show you about the, I guess, 10 top videos as individual color bands running through the line chart, and then all the rest of them added together in gray. So you can have a very insightful view of how your top blockbuster videos compare to all the rest of your videos added together. And I'm up to about 600 videos now on YouTube, and so like 590 of them are grouped together as that gray band, which total the same height as the top videos individually, which is of course the YouTube unboxing video, the removing the finger trick, formatting an SD card, that kind of stuff. So it not only shows you your top players, it shows you the ratio between your long tail and your big hits. And then, of course, how it's all grouped together, the colors that are chosen, the stacking order can all be deliberately controlled. So you can tweak, different things to the surface to show things. Like if there's the metadata supporting it, you could filter it by, if the lines represent URLs, you could filter it by which editors wrote what. So you can bring up just the article URLs from a particular editor, so they can see the whole search hit history in terms of when it was published, when it started getting hits, when it reached its peak, and then when the hits started declining. And you could filter by site, obviously, or any other facet that you preserve on a per element basis. And you can then drill down on the bands, because oftentimes these bands and stacked area line charts are themselves the roll-ups of more data, so you can drill down on it. Now, the inspiration for all this, the place I realized how wonderfully intuitive and interactive and insightful stacked area line charts are, is something called the Baby Naming Voyager. And if you Google on Baby Naming Voyager, you are sure to find it. Make sure your Java is up to date. And this was something that I believe came out of a lot of the visualization work that was being done at IBM on Java before JavaScript in the browser really took over this space. You'll find a lot of these tools out there are Java desktop applications, things like Cytoscape and Gephi for data visualization. And it lived on the desktop, and it lived in Java. It's multi-platform. A lot of this stuff is in the free and open source world, and it's great for experimentation. But when it comes time to distribute these views out to other people, why would you choose anything other than a web browser with one of these libraries like d3.org, or Cytoscape offers a web library version of its visualizations? And then there's all the tons of other ones that are just Excel clones on the web for charting and graphing. Google offers their own. There's a bunch of popular ones, high charts. It's endless. So the important thing is formatting your data for easy time series plotting. It's not always immediately obvious, but any of these visualization tools that do stacked area line charts need the same supporting data that you would need for a simple trend. So whenever you produce a graph that says trend, you're going to have time series data. a date, a value for that date. That's all you really need, but preferably you have some sort of label so that when you plot these things, you can filter on various facets. And that's it. End of concept. I won't make this a long rambling video. I'm in love with stacked area line charts. I am looking at them fairly frequently in YouTube Analytics, and have been striving to bring their value to other areas of my work. In particular, visualizing website traffic in general in an interactive, engaging way that can turn this simple visualization into almost a leaderboard, a competitive thing that compels people to go in, try the different facet filters to get the different stacked area line charts, drill in on the areas of their interest, see their lines, their things that they published in comparison with other people's lines, have some neat color coding, maybe even apply gradient color coding, like time range color coding that's appearing in spreadsheets these days that is so powerful to help visually rapidly quantify, and just have a lot of fun with that. Spin out endless variations, maybe be able to store your favorites and generically apply it over any time series data that comes your way. Oh, and in the background, always be thinking that you got to get to time series, no matter how the data is stored. If there's events that need to be reported on, those events need to roll up into time series counts, which always can be done against the raw data with, fairly complex SQL queries that simulate date range. But there's a lot of temp table stuff or in-memory stuff involved there, when it can all be very much simplified by stamping off these counters permanently somewhere else. And a lot of thought is going into right now the granularity of that time series data, how pure and directly plottable by drag and dropping it as a data source into Tableau these time series should be, or whether it should be deconstructed so that you could generate 4 or 5 different time series approaches out of the same raw counter data. If there's a many-to-many relationship between keywords and URLs and data sources and referrers, how granular should your counters be? So I'm dealing with those issues, kind of have different views with the support guy, the SQL guru that I'm working with, but his view is right. I tend to not like high levels of deconstruction and granularity in these types of tables, because I like easy connecting to the data source, straightforward visualization, and so I tend to aggregate and make things fairly more chunky than the real data that's underlying it. But so long as he's my support on creating various SQL views to simulate the same purification process, so that I still have that drag and drop simplicity. Who cares how granular the underlying initial aggregate roll-up table is? Because it's all coming against weblogs and stuff like that, which is too granular. So the next level of non-granularity is like a pivot table in Excel that produce counts, and just how many rows should be in the pivot table is that question. So that's my talk for today, just about at the office, and as usual, thanks for joining me, and hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.